you asked me about Red Talks, and a couple things happened. One is I was in graduate school a couple years ago, and we kept having to watch TED Talks all the time. And someone once said, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own thing like Red Talks? Because TED Talks, as informative as it is really based on a concept of sharing via technology. And so I thought, well, if we created a Red Talks, it'd be based on native concepts of community and culture. And so the idea was that in our old villages, everyone had a role to play, and everyone had a purpose for being in the village, everyone had a meaning. And so if we're going to be an urban community, can we take some of that concept and apply it to an urban group, whereas everyone has a role to play within our urban community. But to do that, we have to know who we are and what our strengths are. And so Red Talks was a way of having people stand up and speak to their community and talk about something they felt is important to know. It could be an idea, it could be an experience, it could be something in their background, it could be their training, whatever it is. But by and large, we see each other at events in the city, and we really don't know each other in terms of this is what, so-and-so can do. This is their strength, this is their training, this is their expertise, this is their wisdom. So Red Talks was a way to try to tap into that, get people to stand up, give them like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think we wanted to try to get as many speakers in an evening as possible. One of the first speakers we had at our first Red Talk stood up and talked about foster care experience for Native young people and the need for more Native foster homes. It's a major issue in our Native communities, both on and off the reservation, but I'm not sure communities talk about it at that big level where we all recognize the problem and we all work together to try to address it. That's like an example of what we want to do with Red Talks. Some people stood up and talked about the role of an elder in the urban community, which I think is important to consider. We might know what it means more easily if we looked at a reservation community, but in the urban area we have many Native elders. How do we tap into them as a resource? And so this woman talked about that. So while we're getting to know that person, because they're talking about their background and their expertise and their knowledge and wisdom, we're also getting to talk about a concept that we probably need to know more about. So I think the urban community has to take some special initiative to try to come together, to talk with each other, to share with each other, and to learn from each other. It has to be intentional, and it has to be done in such a way that it's an ongoing process. That if there are, and I've heard there are, about 10,000 Native people in the city of Seattle, that's a lot of people to get up and talk about themselves. So we're also looking at other possibilities besides just a face-to-face meeting opportunity. We're also looking at, can we do something online where people are speaking to a camera but still giving the same information.
So I met Roger Fernandes and the other people at Daybreak Star when I was a student at the UW in Seattle, and the community there was very welcoming and very vibrant. And so when I was introduced to the concept of Red Talks, Roger and other people emphasized that this is a concept in the old way, in the old manner of doing things, where it belongs to everyone and to no one at the same time. And when I told him that we would like to have this concept for video production, he was very supportive of that. And the principle behind it is to de-silo some of this information, to deterritorialize this information, to help people network and connect and have contact information for these great things that are happening all over the country for Indian communities. And kind of break away from that idea that we have to wait for somebody to do it for us, or that we have to have grant funding to do it. Red Talks is something that we can use to return to that sort of idea of sharing across boundaries and communities. So we're hoping Red Talks isn't solely about research or solely about Indigenous knowledge and ways of being, or solely about partnerships, but all three things together. And we're hoping that Red Talks can provide the teasers for people to look at that information and want to know more, provide the contacts or provide the literature or articles that would have people delve into the conversation or the ideas more deeply. But for right now, what we have is these very fun and informational short clips that we hope people will use as a resource.